That sound that you're hearing right now is the sound of deafening silence from this club. I really didn't want to make this a ranty video because after watching a lot of channels last night, having a huge rant about the game yesterday, I thought I want to be part of the solution rather than the problem. As much as little old me, just a random fan who goes to these games, I can't fix these problems, but the mentality has to shift. And the truth is, you can't stand still in a world of football that moves so quickly because you're going to end up moving backwards, right? Either you make a choice and a decision and you back it, or you're going to end up failing on all fronts, which is quite frankly what is happening right now, excuse the pun. I have a long list of notes in front of me from the game last night, excuse me, and I was debriefing with, friends, family after the game. We were talking about, how the game went, and I don't even know if I can be bothered to dive into the game yesterday because there isn't a terrible lot that we weren't expecting. We knew that we weren't going to win that game. I predicted before the game a 2-1 loss, and so it manifested. We have come to a point where we have accepted this mediocrity, and this is nothing new. Fans know this. This has been going on for a quarter of a century. A quarter of a century. It's insane what is going on at this club right now. And fans are literally so divided. It's turned out that you're kind of in one of these two extremes, right? You're either delusional because you think that this club still is a big six club, and you think that we can beat a third place Aston Villa team when the reality is we are sitting 14th, or you're a happy clapper and you're perfectly happy with, being toxic in that sense because you're accepting the mediocrity. So either way, there's this negative aura, there's this negative feeling around the institution, not just the club. And it's a very, very sad state of affairs. It's possibly one of the most depressing periods that I've ever been through as a Spurs fan. And I know that a lot of people are thinking the same. I guess to summarise the game, the first half, we didn't show up. We allowed Aston Villa to dominate us. They are a very, very good side. And they came to us full well knowing how broken we are at home. And for some reason that is unbeknown to me, we are quite happy to allow a team to come to our home ground and stomp all over us. To sit back, to allow them to have possession, to not show the fight and the passion that fans expect. I wasn't even disappointed at the end of that game. I wasn't disappointed about the result because the opposite of disappointment is expectation. And as Spurs fans, we now know that we cannot have any expectations to win any game. Yes, there were some really bad refereeing decisions, particularly in the last 15 minutes. It was so frustrating because by the time we managed to collectively get ourselves together and start pushing forward, start pressing, the damage was already done. And Aston Villa knew how to control and see the game out, something that we are totally incapable of doing. No matter how many times we go in front, we can't seem to see a game out. And it is so frustrating to watch because we're just helpless fans on the sideline. We can't force this club to make the big signing that we know needs to happen for them to back their decision. If you're going to make a decision to bring in a manager, back it. Back that decision. Have some conviction. And the lack of that authority coming from the top is filtering down on all levels of the club. I saw yesterday many fans were saying that our season is done, we're a wipeout, there's nothing to play for. Guys, we're playing for our pride. We should be playing for our pride. Are the players even playing for pride? Does Frank even care? I'm sure he does. But all I hear in his press conferences is this acceptance, this almost defiance in a way. You know, there is no defiance from Frank, is what I mean to say. There's no defiance. He is simply accepting the fact that we are a mediocre club. And I think one of the reasons why I enjoyed listening to Postecoglou as much as we weren't winning games was because he had this way about him which was of a positive mindset. It was not accepting the mediocrity. And people hated him for it because that mindset settled into our ethos way before Postecoglou even arrived. And so when a guy comes along and says, you know, I want to challenge everything and I want to reframe everything and we're going to become the best and we're going to win things, the club's like, no, we can't be doing that. We've got this much investment and we have to spread it across all fronts. And as a consequence of that, we have no face of the club. We are suffering from the biggest hangover of the loss of Kane and Son in history. This hangover could last another quarter of a century. If we do not pull our finger out our arse and buy players, and I'm not talking about this new guy Sousa that's just come in, this is a buy for the future. He's a player for the future. The kid's 18 years old. You can't put the pressure on a youngster coming through to be the game changer, to be the face of this club. We are a faceless club right now. I really feel that behind the scenes, as much as we all said how amazing Son was as a player, you know, how he was one of those players that everyone loved to watch and just even the players loved to be around. We don't have that anymore. We have a captain who doesn't come out and speak after games. What kind of leadership and authority is that? What is going on in that dressing room? Who is standing up? The only players I can see standing up are Vicario and Van de Ven. And I'm really, really sorry to break it to you, but Van de Ven is not going to be the face of the future of this club because he's too good for us. If you don't reinforce the squad and buy players at that level, you're going to lose your best players. It's fact. Who is going to want to sit round and play for this team? Players who want to be winning competitions and finishing top four, who get attracted to this club, you know, they're not going to stick around. And those players that had that mentality came in because of Ange, because they saw what he'd done at his previous clubs. They heard the way he spoke, his mentality, his persistence, and his absolute, you know, disregard for losing games. It was not an option. Yes, we won so many, but you have to instill the mindset before you get to that place. He said it before he left. We need to buy players. Not about age, we need experience, is exactly what he said. He said we need experience. And who have we brought in? We've brought in young players, and I'm sorry to say this, Xavi, you know, young player. I thought he was getting a little bit creative yesterday, but but he's not the answer. Our experienced players that we've brought in, who are Paulinho, who I thought had actually quite a decent game yesterday. He was mopping up quite a lot in the middle of the field, which I think maybe Bentancur doesn't offer as much. But Mawani, I mean, the offside goal yesterday, it was just painful. It was just painful. I was having a bit of a chat with ChatGPT yesterday, my good old friend, and I was trying to get to the bottom of what it is that's happening, because we're getting to this place now where we're like, yeah, we want to compete on all fronts, but then what's manifesting is failure across all fronts, quite frankly. And we're not moving forward. So the question has to be, not why is this happening, but how do we stop this from happening? How do we put an end to this drama loop that has been going on for a quarter of a century? This is systemic. This is not a Frank problem. This is a systemic problem with our club. And I've been going through all of your comments on the last few videos that I've done. And there are hundreds of you who have been supporting this club, you know, new fans, old fans. And I've been overwhelmed by the amount of support that, you know, I got off of my first video. And it got me thinking about how is it that Spurs have got themselves in this position where we are globally renowned to be one of the most well-known teams in the Premier League, in British football, English football, but we don't win anything. Like, how is that possible? Because all the other big clubs, you know, your Chelseas, your Liverpools, your Arsenals, your Cities, you know, they have won stuff. And it's almost like their global following has come about because, you know, we always joke that, you know, they have a fan base that are glory hunters. And Spurs, we're not like that. So why is it that people support our club? Who are we? What do we actually stand for? What is our identity? There's so much I want to cover about injuries and transfers and updates, but look, there isn't really much to digest from talk about from the game yesterday. The bigger problem is we have 2 6-pointer games coming up. We have 2 6-pointer games coming up. The next game being West Ham next Saturday, followed by Burnley. And as it stands at the moment, we are 6 points off 5th. The table is so tight. It is so tight, and we're going to dive more into that. But we are 6 points off of 5th. Everything can change in these next 2 games. Everything. Do we have it in us to get the job done? Because I'm telling you now, I said in that first video that I was giving Frank benefit of the doubt. But if you cannot beat West Ham in the form that they are in, that's it. The guy's gone. And we made these empty threats last year about Ange, and look where it led us at the end of the season. 17th and a trophy. Which is a complete reflection of the polarization of what's going on. These 2 extremes that I spoke about, the delusion or the toxicity. The delusion of winning the Europa League and the toxicity of finishing 17th. That is who we are. It's who we are, mate. It is who we still are. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And on the surface, you might have got rid of Daniel Levy. You might have had changes at the board level. But it's going to take so long for these changes to trickle through until someone puts their hand up and says, do you know what, guys? We're going to have to buy someone. We're going to have to buy a big name for this club. Someone who can really take that leadership role on, because I don't feel like we fully have that with Romero. I think he's a fantastic player. But you know what? If he wants to leave this summer, there's the door. Danso had a great game yesterday. I don't think he offers as much, breaking through the lines as Romero does. But you know what? If Romero is going to be part of the problem, he can go too, quite frankly. Because there's always players available. The problem is we don't buy them, and we're not attracting them because you attract what you are. And if you are mediocre, guess what? You're going to attract mediocrity. The only positives to come out of that game yesterday is that Solanke's back and fit. Udogie is now on the bench. I don't know whether he's fully match fit. He didn't even come on for 10 minutes. He must have been match fit if he was on the bench. But then why put him on the bench if he's not going to come on? And you're going to swap Porro out for Spence 10 minutes before the end of the game. And Spence, man, what are you doing? You lose the ball and he just stands there. Huh? Oh, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. No. What are you doing? Chase it down. Have a bit of passion. Show a bit about yourself. Show that you care. Are these Planet players not playing for the manager? Or are they not playing for the fans? Are they not playing for the badge? What is it? So yeah. This season, the rest of this season, we are playing for pride. We are absolutely playing for pride. And if you cannot beat West Ham and Burnley, we have some serious questions. I know we're all talking about empty threats. Oh, Enoch need to go, blah, blah, blah. But let's really think about this. If we lose against West Ham and Burnley, let's see where they are on the table. West Ham are on 14 points. We're on 27. So there's 13 points difference. 4 games and a draw. 4 wins and a draw. So those 2 games are absolutely vital. They are absolutely vital. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the question that I raised earlier. Why is it that Spurs have got to this point where they're so globally big, but yet haven't won trophies? So I'm going to dive more into that in my next video.